Hi, everyone, and welcome to Soulful. I am Nakia Whittaker-Woody,
I am Latoya Williams.
and Latoya Glenn is absent today. I'm sure she'll be here in a second. Today on Soulful, we have Miss Karyn Buggs. I wanted to say it right. We have Miss Karyn Buggs. She has been in the financial world for the past 20 years, and she enjoys candid conversations with executive women about breaking the six-figure mark in their business. So we are super excited to have her today. And Toya has joined us.
Hey guys.
Hey, Toya.
Hey,
So,
Karen, how's it going?
Good. How
so
about
what are we
you?
working on today, guys? Toya?
Well, we had some wonderful client work that we had to work on today. So I've been setting up G Suites all morning long. So that's been fun.
How about you, Latoya?
I have been working on brand stories and I'm also going to be prettying up someone's lead page. So I'm
And
all
Ooh.
about the pretty
I
stuff.
I personally had three conference calls. So I've been working since 6:30 this morning, and now I'm on the hunt for influencers. So that's a little hard. So I'm busy. Hi, Miss Karen. What were you doing
Hello,
today?
hello, ladies. It's such a pleasure to be here.
What were you doing today?
Well, I was working on closing out an audit for my client, who's also my employer. I'm just in the habit of saying, client, but we are closing out an audit. So I was reviewing trial balances and just, a whole bunch of number stuff, trying to make
Ooh.
sure that things are in order. I like to say numbers tell a story. So I have to make sure that my numbers tell the audit story out in the marketplace when the public may ask, hey, what's going on with this, with this company? The audit and the numbers tell that story in a positive way. So
Right. Cool.
Awesome, awesome.
All
Okay,
right.
so
We are super excited that you're here. We have dedicated our whole show because we are just so excited for your viewpoint. So we're going to let you just have it.
awesome, awesome. So as Nakia said, I'm a money coach. I've been in the industry, in the finance industry, specifically accounting for over 20 years. So I like to say, I just kind of put it short. I know my stuff when it comes to, business and numbers. So not that you have to listen to me at all, but I know what I'm talking about. So you may
yeah.
want to pay attention. If you don't have your pen and paper, I'll pause for about 10 seconds for you to get that, because I'm going to be dropping some gems. And oftentimes, as spirit leads, I may have something written down on paper, but sometimes what's on paper is not what's coming out. So if you ask me to repeat it, I may not know it's in the moment. So you got to be, I say you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Um, I had an opportunity to listen to last week's message because I wanted to know the mindset and kind of the spirit of what your audience had already been listening to. And so I wrote down some gems from that I'm going to incorporate into my message today. A few of the things that came up last week, when you guys were talking about entrepreneurship, some words that came out: imposter syndrome, confidence, employee mindset, the power of words. Specifically, I think it was Courtney mentioned the power of yet. Somebody talked about what your strengths are, and then somebody else was talking about wasting time and things of that nature. So I want you to still think about the conversation from last week as we pull in and we draw in and we talk about um, finances, or I call it the money talk. And as I told the ladies the other day, I am going to talk about it in a perspective or in a manner that is not popular. It's in a manner, and it's coming from a space of what I call the truth about money, and where our mindset should be shaped around when it comes to money in our personal life and money in our business life. So first thing I want to talk about is who are we, right? A lot of times we identify with, I'm a mom, I'm a CEO, I'm a virtual assistant, I'm an accountant, I'm, this, and we identify with our skill set that we have in the world. But if we go back to that, right, my favorite book says that he knew who we was before we were even born. So we was something before we became a CEO or a VA or something. So who were we, right?
All
If
right
we
now,
go
Miss
way back,
Karen.
And I'm saying,
if we go way back, right, we go way back to the beginning till Adam and Eve, we were created to manage resources, right? If you don't believe me, I'm no Bible scholar, but you can find it in Genesis 1:26. Says we were created to manage resources. Says let man, and it's woman and it's mankind. So it's not talking about man, the male, but let man have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. That covers a whole lot, right? We got dominion over everything, right? So when we talk about positioning ourselves and positioning our mindset, and we talk about that imposter syndrome and some of that, the building the confidence to really step into entrepreneurship. And now we're talking about having the confidence or having the wherewithal to manage our finances. We first have to look at whose finances are they anyway? Whose resources are they anyway? And so our position is that we are the manager of the resources that we've been given. And the resource that we're talking about now, we're talking about money. So we've been given dominion over that resource that we call money. So what does it really mean to manage resources, right? If we think about it, right, managing resources infers three things. One, it infers that you don't own it. It's not yours because I'm managing it. So it's got to belong to somebody else. Otherwise, I'm the owner of it. But when we go back to who we are managers of a resource, or we're managers of money. So one, we have to realize that it's not ours anyway. The second thing we have to realize is that the owner must trust us with what they've been given. Because if we look at, and how many of you are moms that, might be watching, or someone has asked you to watch over something, maybe in your job, you watch over employees, in your home, you watch over something, you may have watched somebody's dog. But the fact is, when someone asks you to manage something for them, that means they trust you with it, right? I trust you with something that belongs to me, but I think that you'll manage it right. So that's the second thing that we had, that it infers when we talk about managing our money resources, that the owner of the money trusts us. And if we go back to who we are, we can figure out who the owner of the money is. It's our creator. Now, he's the owner of the money. And the third thing is, the owner expects that you will take care of those resources well. So when we talk about managing money, when we think about what am I supposed to do with this money, when we think about either earning more or spending less, or whatever that match is for us with money, we should be thinking about the owner expecting us to do well with that resource. Because the one thing that we don't want to do, and if we talk about it in more of a worldly perspective, let's say, we're babysitting someone's kids, we don't want to be the person to call and say, I didn't take care of your child very well. I didn't feed them. I didn't, make sure that they went to the bathroom. It's like, you don't want to do that. So when we infer, or when it's inferred that we're managing these resources, or that we're managing this money, the owner expects that we will take good care of it. Right. And that goes back to that mindset, a lot of the things that you guys talked about last week. So when it comes to imposter syndrome, and whether or not I'm good enough to be able to manage this money, we already know that we are. because we're managers of it, and the owner trusts us with it. And so the imposter syndrome of whether or not I'm good enough to handle it, the answer is already absolutely, I'm good enough to handle it. I'm trusted with it. Now what? What authority do I have over this, money? You have the authority to be able to tell, and what I call give dollars a direction, right? If you don't give dollars a direction, then they're like a wayward child, right? They just do whatever they want to do because they don't have any discipline, or they don't have anybody directing them to say, you need to go here, you need to do this. And if we're talking in business, here, these dollars are allotted for marketing. These dollars are allotted for taxes. These dollars are allotted to pay me. These dollars are allotted to pay somebody else. If we don't sit down and really think about where those dollars are going, we'll look up and we don't have anything, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to get that next dollar from to take care of the things that we need to take care of because we didn't manage well. So when when we're talking about managing our money, and when we're talking about what it is that we what we do in this state of emergency, or in this pandemic, this time of pandemic, a lot of us, or a lot of people, found the need to start a business because maybe their household income wasn't enough, or their hours got cut and it just wasn't enough. But I'm hopeful that before we ran out and just started a business, we looked at our personal finances and figured out where could we steward and manage those resources better, because oftentimes money is not the problem. I can give you more money, but what's the point of giving you more money to mismanage? Because then you'll always need more money to solve your problems. And when we think about seeds, right? Mm-hmm. We may tell our kids all the time, money doesn't grow on trees. And, it's a cliche to say, I just don't have this abundance of money anywhere. But it's true. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is not a seed, because when we think about a seed, right, a seed produces its own kind. Money can't produce anything. We can't plant it and it won't grow into anything. And so more money often is not the solution to our problem. It's something else. It's either our mindset about money. And where does our mindset go? Our mindset about money comes from our relationship with money, right? I call it money mental blueprint. Our life experiences, as far back as we can go, have dictated the way that we talk about, think about, and handle our money right now. So some of the things that gets in the way of us having better business finances is what I call your money mood, or that relationship with money. And your money mood tells your money story, which determines your mindset about money, which sets your messaging you have around money. So it can be this conglomerate of things that you don't really realize, that my decision not to hire somebody is because of my relationship with money. It's because of my relationship with money, what I tell myself about money, which then reflects into the decisions that I make about money. Right? So for me, like right now, what that might look like is I need an executive assistant, right? I know that I need an executive assistant because my plate is full with a lot of things. And in order for me to use my gift that I've been given to manage, I need to have somebody else helping me to be able to do that. Oftentimes what people say is, I can't afford help, right? And you'll hear messaging around, well, if you can't afford it, then that means you don't want it bad enough. You just need to hustle harder. If you don't want it, you could do all of these different things. But I, like like to get to the core of the problem. And really at the core, it's your relationship with money. What have you been taught about money that tells you that you cannot afford to have somebody to help you to spread the word or your gift into larger territory, right? Because if I believe what I believe in my favorite book, and if I believe the things that I tell myself or I read, then I have to believe that money is not the problem. It's got to be something else, because there's an abundance. There's an abundance of money. So it's usually the money story that that's connected to your mindset, which is connected to your relationship, which then it gets connected to the messaging that that you tell yourself. And so it can really get a little not complicated, but it can really get a little deep, if you will, because again, what we're looking to do is to really get to the core of, how do I really manage my finances? Why do I manage my finances that way? What is causing me to make those decisions about money and the manner in which I make money? And so there are 4 money moods that a person can have. And they are, you can have one or more. Usually one is more prominent than all of the others, but you can certainly have all 4 of them. The first one that I want to talk about is reckless, right? This is the person who, you don't know where your money goes. You never look at your numbers, and you think that money will always solve your problems, right? And somehow I can just make more if I throw it, I just throw some money at it. And that's being really reckless with the money that we've been given authority over to manage. And that generally comes from having a mindset of, money doesn't matter. We tell ourselves, money is not, it doesn't matter to me. I don't really care about money. Money doesn't make me, it doesn't motivate me, right? And we just throw money away. Now, remember I told you I'm 20 plus years in accounting, right? You think I know that I know my stuff about numbers. I can manage somebody's numbers down to a T. I'm reckless. I'm reckless because my relationship with money is one in which I don't like the way that people treat money. I don't like the way that money makes people change into something else, or they use it in a means of, if you have money, you're good. If you don't have money, you're bad. If I have money, then I could do all of these things. If I don't have money, then I don't. So I don't like the way that society has done a phenomenal job in putting money on this pedestal. And so for most of my life, I have worked diligently to not have that relationship with money. And what that means is I'm reckless with it. I'll just throw it away, do something with it, and figure I can make it again. I'm smart enough. I can, whenever I need it, I'll get it. But when I began to really look at the truth about money and what my position was as it relates to money, I learned that I had to undo that relationship. I had to come up with a different way in which to manage money, because what I was saying to the owner of the money is, I don't care. I'll just ask you for more and you'll give it to me. Wow. So when we find ourselves on our knees in different situations, continuously asking for God to give us more, we have to really look inward and say, God, what have I done with what you have already given me? Right. And so that's the reckless move. Second is unworthiness, right? You don't trust your worth. You feel like your skills aren't good enough. A lot of times that's where imposter syndrome comes in, right? I'm not worthy enough to charge X amount of dollars. Why? If the value is there, because you're not charging based on what you feel like is worth, because you don't get a chance to determine what your worth is. Your worth has already been determined, right? You're favored. You are royalty. You are blessed. A woman of God, you are more than just rubies. That the value has already been established. So you're not looking to you're not looking to place worth on money, because you are absolutely already worthy. But when our relationship with money says that I am unworthy to receive, we make decisions from that place and we manage from that place of unworthiness, because I don't feel like I should have it anyway. So whatever you give me, I'm okay with that. And then what that looks like is you may never reach your full potential, or you may never reach the impact or change the lives that you could change using your gift, because you're tying your decisions to your relationship with money, which is connected to you feeling like you're unworthy. So when we look at our finances, our personal finances, and we made decisions to start a business during this time of pandemic, was it tied to the fact that you felt like you weren't worthy enough to possibly, stay at home and still get paid from a job? Or I wasn't worthy enough to go back and ask my job for more money, because now I feel like I'm sitting at home and I'm not doing, not doing anything. So you may find yourself in a position where you don't have enough money because you didn't feel worthy enough to ask for what you are already worth.
Mm.
The third money mood identifier is power. And this is where identity and worth are tied to money. You feel superior to those who have less money than you. And in the marketplace, they call those influencers, right? They say that if you are an influencer, you have these set of things that people will attach to, right? And those who fall lower than that threshold, they haven't made it yet. You haven't arrived yet. And so your money mood, when it's tied to power, it may look like you just simply communicating to people, if you want something, then you'll hustle hard for it. Or in order to get where I am, you have to be willing to do what I did. When we look at really what the truth about money is, because it doesn't belong to that person who believes that they're in a position of power because they have it, just as much as it doesn't belong to me, a person who may not have as much money. It doesn't belong to either one of us. But when you have that mindset of power and you tell me, in order for me to have power, in order for me to sit at the table, in order for me to do these things, I got to get my bag up, or I got to go chase the bag, then we take our focus off of the main thing. And my favorite book says, seek ye first, and everything else will be added. So if I'm chasing the bag, then I have taken my focus off of the thing that can give me more bags than I can even store up, right? And so when we have that money mood of power, and we tie it to our identity, then we have a tendency to treat people in a manner that's not loving, right? We have a tendency to think that we have more authority than we really have in the marketplace. And then the last money mood is lack, right? And this is the one that that I have a tendency to work with a lot of people in is the fear that you'll be without, right? That there will never be enough. You fear losing money, and you fear that, if I don't stack it, then I'm never going to really be able to make this thing work. And this time, especially during this time, people are experiencing that money mood of lack because they think that they won't have, right? And one of the things that reminds me that I will have is when I hear birds chirping, right? Birds don't really have to do anything in order for them to have the things that they need to have. They just do. And it's there. They have food. They have a place to stay. And so when I think about going back to what I have dominion over and what I'm managing, the bird is part of it. So if he's taking care of the bird, do I not think that he'll take care of me?
Amen.
So there's no the lack mentality or the fear that I will go without ties to our messaging that we have, which then our story that we share in the marketplace. And so spend money on marketing, or I'm not going to, spend money doing this thing or that thing because I got a stack, right? And when we think about the story of the talents, the one that did figure he had to stack, and I'm just going to save mine until later, he was called the fool. Like, that's foolish to do that. It's foolish to think that you won't have enough. It's foolish to think that what I gave you in the beginning, what I gave you to multiply and to spread, that I won't replace that. And so these different money moods, again, they tie to our money mindset, which then ties to our messaging that we have around the way that we not only manage our own business finances, but how we make decisions in our business as it relates to the finances. And it could be something, again, as simple as pricing, right? If I think that I won't ever have enough, then I'm constantly trying to figure out, okay, how can I make more? Do I need to add another product? Maybe I need to add another service. And you don't give time for something to work because you're steady chasing the dollar because you don't think that you'll ever have enough, right? And so, like I said, each one of these different money moods tie into how we manage our finances. And it's difficult to really talk about, because I can teach you how to do a budget, right? It's a no-brainer, for me. We could all learn how to do a budget because we can add, subtract, multiply and divide. So that's not the hard part about managing money, opening bank accounts, getting, EIN numbers and separating, personal from business. That's the easy stuff. The hard stuff is wrapping our mind around the position that we have as it relates to our purpose. The difficult part is trusting the process in which you have been entrusted to pursue and do your purpose. The hard part is being able to get people around you that you trust to help you to carry out your vision. And it all starts with your relationship with money. That's the hard part. That's the part that people don't talk about, because again, you can Google how to do a budget. You can YouTube University how to separate finances and put together a spreadsheet and all of that stuff. But if you go through the tactics and the strategies without getting to the core, you'll still find yourself making those same decisions based on your relationship with money. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. So whether you're looking to make your first $100, if you don't identify your relationship with money and how it connects to your decision making, you'll make those same type of decisions when you make $250,000. It'll be the same, because the lack mentality, the identity of money being tied to power, your feeling of unworthiness, or your reckless behavior with money, it doesn't go away with the amount of money that you make. But once you identify it, and then you begin to work from the truth about money and from the truth of your position, your process, and the people that are around you, because iron sharpens iron, now we could talk about, how do we really manage your finances? How do we manage your finances from the truth about money and not from your broken relationship with money? So that is my viewpoint, my spiel, and my heart about managing money, and just kind of getting to the core. So I'll open it up for questions. And I'm sorry, I didn't even stop for questions because I was so into it. Like,
I didn't see any questions. I did check. I want to say that I am appreciative of your four moods. I feel like I am blessed but reckless, but I'm also a person who fears lacking. So I have to work on that, because I infamously refuse to charge a certain amount in my business because I want to be accessible to other people, but I need to do that more. So I appreciate your words.
absolutely. Thank you.
I just want to say again, like she said, thank you so much. There were some really good gems that I took from that, which, I have a mentor that, has said some of the same things. So, out of the mouth of two, baby. Yes, yes, yes. I was feeling it all day. Um, I love the part where, well, first of all, for the four moods, I think it depends on what day of the week, because I think I can be all four in one day. You know what I mean? So I do feel that consciously knowing where you are in those four moods would help a whole lot. If you recognize that behavior, I'm being reckless today, let me get that together. Or, I had that mind from the last one. If you remember, I'm the one that had that self-talk issue. So when that little voice inside me says, like, who are you to be charging that? You what can you really charge that much? Are you worth that much? You know what I mean? So that conversation happens, and just like you said, like, if you don't feel worth, the worth is there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I love that. Thank you. That's more ammo in my, in my weaponry to combat that, that self-talk. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I appreciate you reminding us that we have dominion. That's number one. And you kept referencing this favorite book, Karen. Can you tell us about this favorite book? What you talking about?
So the favorite book that I reference is the Bible. And I say it to be, I reference it, as my favorite book, so as not to spill, the Bible all over, people. Those who have an ear hear, and they know, what I'm saying and what I'm referencing. And those who are curious will ask, and then I can share, testimonies and things of that nature. So my favorite book that I reference is the Bible.
Awesome.
Question. What should we do about the moods? How do we get over the mood? I mean, I would love to be able to charge more. Who wouldn't? But I also want to be helpful. I also want to bless others because I've been so blessed. So how do you get over the mood?
So there's three. When we really kind of dig into the process, the moods are going to uncover what I call, three different things. And I did mention that. So the mood is going to cover your trust or mistrust in three areas: your position, your process or lack thereof, or your people. And so when you ask, what is it to do to get past those? I think, Latoya mentioned it. One of the first things is acknowledging, like, where is this decision coming from? Is it coming from one of those moods? And when we acknowledge that whatever mood is coming from, then we could say, okay, I already know that that's going to be an issue, because I can tell you what that's going to get me, because that's my normal course of action is to do it this way. So I already know the outcome. What is the truth about it, right? The truth is I have dominion. The truth is it doesn't belong to me. The truth is I have been entrusted with it. The truth is I want to give it back that in a way that honors the owner. Right. How can I do that with this decision that I need to make? Mm-hmm. When you think about, you talked about, this is called hot seat coaching. So you talked about charging, wanting to be accessible to everybody, right? There were times, and again, I refer back to my favorite book, and one of my absolute cornerstone verses is there's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. Nothing that we're talking about, nothing that we're experiencing. So when I think about that one simple verse, there's nothing new under the sun, that means that I should be able to go there and find an example for me to follow, because it is an example, right? If I believe that it's an example, I should be able to go through those pages, through one of those 66 books, and find me an answer. I just have to be willing to do the research there instead of out there. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about wanting to be a blessing and wanting to be accessible, our Creator himself wasn't accessible to everybody. One. So we aren't called to everybody. That's first thing. That's the truth, right? You're not called to everybody. So if I'm not called to everybody, what does that mean? I'm called to somebody. Who am I called to? And that's who you need to make yourself accessible to, right? You make yourself accessible to those who you are called to. Making sure that they can afford it, right? I never want to transfer my money mood, one of these 4 money moods, onto the people that I serve.
Wow.
So if I have a money mood of lack, and I'm saying I don't know if they'll be able to afford it, I just transferred my money mood of lack into how I serve the people that I serve. Because remember, it's not my responsibility to determine what you can afford. It's my responsibility to deliver the message that I've been given to you. Mm-hmm. That's what you're responsible for. Okay. My favorite book says, his word will not return void. If it's from him, it's not going to return void. Mm-hmm. So each decision that we make should run through which one of these money moves can I identify? Identify what the truth of it is, and then make the decision based on the truth. And how do we find the truth? Whatever the truth, for me, the truth is my favorite book. Mm-hmm. Whatever you determine that truth to be for you, you have to work your money mood against the truth that you have, and then make your decision from the truth, because they're going to come up, right? Those things are going to come up because that's the world that we live in. We live in a world where there is somebody strategically looking to kill, steal, and destroy everything that we have, mm-hmm. including your business, including the clients that you serve, including the decisions that you make to hire somebody, including everything that brings you joy and that brings you one step closer to pursuing your purpose. It's a spirit that's looking to kill, steal, and destroy. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Are you?
Right.
Does that answer your question, Nakia?
It does answer my question.
Okay.
I'm going to be
Okay.
more assertive and more definitive with what I want.
Absolutely. There you go. And you don't have bold and courageous.
Love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Toya, you were saying something earlier. Did I cut across you?
I got wrapped up into your answer, so I'm writing notes and then
Oh,
see if I can
okay.
remember.
Sorry. I have a question. Does
Sure.
spoiled equal reckless?
Say that one more time.
Does spoiled equal reckless?
Give me an example.
Okay. I am a parent of two daughters, and
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with the creature comforts. So I've raised them with the creature comforts. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think of spoiled being a bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I am having some issues with one daughter that the other daughter doesn't seem to have. And I'm wondering, is spoiled reckless in the money move situation?
In that particular case, you having spoiled her is being reckless.
Okay.
It's not on her.
Right. I understand.
Yeah. Yep. So yes.
I understand.
Yes.
I was just doing what I
And
was taught. And so,
yes.
I want to get better and be better. So,
Yep. And it starts with identifying and then telling the truth or speaking the truth in love about that thing.
right.
So, Karen, going back to your favorite book, book that I adore as well. Did you go in the scripture and just find all of the like the money scriptures? Like what did you do? How'd you pull all this stuff from scripture?
So part of it, right, which is why I know it's a gift from God. Part of it was just my language that I would use. And then you know how you hear scriptures that were just spoken a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, now that makes sense. So just some popular verses began to have some life when I was doing this work, going to Bible study and sermons. I would say this, yes. So I pull lessons when I'm hearing. I hear with, kind of a different ear. And then most recently, I did a word. I am still in the process of doing a word study. So I do mind mapping, or I do mapping where I put I put lack in the middle of a piece of paper. And then I did use the concordance to figure out all of the different verses. And then I don't know if you're familiar with the SOAP method in order to break that scripture down. So SOAP is S for scripture. You write out the scripture. O is for observation, like kind of what do you observe in that scripture. A is for how would you apply it. And then the P is for prayer. So I would apply that SOAP method to the different scriptures and then think about what it means as it relates to money. And one of the other things that I was blessed to be able to actually give a sermon based on stewardship, which obviously drew me to, having to do a deeper dive into it. But when I looked at money, and for a while I was mad at the institution of church, and it was related to money, because I felt like the church building was a place where people could come for help. But there was a time period where I knew at least 3 people that were big into church ministry and going to church and speaking church. But when it came time for them to have a financial need from the church, it wasn't met. And I was like, that it doesn't make sense. It is something isn't equating. So I had to pull myself back away from the institution from church and actually study for myself to figure out where the disconnect was.
Mm.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I understand that journey. Yeah. I had one more question, I think. A while ago, I studied a book, Profit First. I can think of the.
Mhm.
So I wanted to know what you think about that method as a new for new entrepreneurs. Like, do you pay yourself first?
I think it depends.
Okay.
One, it depends on what you believe, right?
Okay.
Some people believe that you should pay God first. I certainly believe that you have to consider all costs, right? So, and paying yourself is one of those costs that's involved in your business. And so I would back up and say, profit, price right in order to profit at all.
Ooh.
Because oftentimes what happens is in our pricing, we kind of throw spaghetti against the wall and just hope it sticks. Well, why is that? Why did you price that product at $37? Because somebody told me that was a good range, or I saw somebody else's cost and theirs was $37. But if you actually sit down to figure out your costs and to make sure that you've got profit margin in there, to make sure that you've got growth, business growth in there, and to make sure that you've got something built in for taxes, then all of that other stuff is going to happen. But if you have a price and you focus on profit first, you can still be driving your business into the ground because you have it priced right. So I say
Mhm.
price right, and you don't have to really worry about the profit because it's built in. So whether I take profit first, second, or last, it's in there. Like Prego, it's in there.
Mm.
So I got that price right, and you ain't got to worry about nothing. Just
You ain't
price
no
right.
price
Do
right.
that.
Yep.
I like
Yep. And I told the story of like during the Super Bowl, right?
Uh-huh.
They have commercials, and these commercials, they cost like
Ooh.
millions of
Yeah.
dollars. Well, there's one, and I can't remember which team it is, right? The reason why they charge a lot of money, first of all, is because of ad spend and viewership. They know that people are going to be watching, and so they can justify charging this large volume of money because you're going to get the viewership, and then it hopefully it brings brand awareness and all of that other business jargon. Where there's a team that owns a station, right? And what that means is that they don't have to worry about some of those costs that somebody who doesn't own the station have to worry about. So imagine if I mirrored my cost for doing business based off of their cost, right? Based off of what they were pricing. And I say, oh, well, I see ABC team over here charges $500,000. I'm going to charge the same $500,000, not knowing that they don't have the same cost involved as my organization or my company. So you have to price based on your own costs, and definitely profit should be included in that. Definitely paying yourself should be included in that. And definitely business growth should be included in that.
Have to work on.
Remember, one of the things I said is every dollar has to have a direction.
Mm. Mm.
So when I price it right, I know where every dollar is going.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter the order because it's already set aside or it's already allotted.
Okay, I have one more question, guys. I'm sorry. I just this I could all day long, Karen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. So, is there a matrix or something or a spreadsheet that you go by with when pricing, with
I
setting up
actually
prices?
I have it's about an hour and 15 minute training I did on pricing, which
Awesome.
does come with it does have a matrix.
Okay.
I will email that to Latoya, and then
Awesome.
she can get it to you guys. I'll email the the link for the training. I thought it was going to be this quick training, and then it turned into like an hour because it goes over the different pricing methods, as well as different pricing strategies, and just how do you kind of arrive at what it is and how you want to approach it for your business. Again, it's unique. It could be unique to every business, and it could be unique to every product and or service, which is why it's not a good idea to just kind of wing it.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Toya were thinking of creating something for our virtual assistants to help them come up with a formula to price their services, based on their hourly rate and how much their overhead was, things like that. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a quick question, that document that you're going to be sharing, that's okay for us to share on the platform as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all look for that in the description bar below. We will have that in the show notes.
Yes.
Anybody else got questions?
And anyone else? Okay, that was a great show. We so appreciate everyone for watching, and we will see you next week.
Well, wait, before you go,
what are
do
you working
not
on?
forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to hit at least 100.
We're trying to hit 100.
We're
And
trying
wait
to
a
hit our
minute.
first 100,
Wait a
guys.
What's the best way for folks to contact you, Karyn, if they want
I have
consultations?
all of her information, and it will be below in the show notes.
Awesome.
Okay. See you guys next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.